Happy Thanksgiving, friends, and welcome to the 8th annual Strictly Sports Football Feast. Yes, I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined by good old MF Michael Fletcher, awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. Not sure if he'll be coming in late or what the story is, but nonetheless, if Bullock comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him for the Wednesday Night Mayhem tomorrow night. But for right now, um, 8th annual Strictly Sports Football Feast. Now, I know all of you here on StreamYard are going to be brand new to this. But for all of you on YouTube, you know what this is. But I'm just going to explain our concept to the StreamYard viewers out there. And it's very simple. On our football feast, we preview and give our predictions of the 3 NFL Thanksgiving Day games coming up this Thursday. And we will also preview all of the top 25 college football games that will comprise of the most exciting week of the year, regular season-wise, that is, rivalry week. So it's going to be a great night. I can't wait. So let's dive on in. And we'll start it off with our 3 NFL Thanksgiving games, and we're going to start it off with our first matchup, which will kick off at 12:30 over on Fox. A matchup of the Chicago Bears squaring off against the Detroit Lions. Ford Field in Detroit. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews, they will be there. And second meeting between these two, just a few weeks ago, the Chicago Bears won the first meeting. I believe it was 20-13 at Soldier Field in Chicago. The Bears opening up as 2.5-point favorites. And with that win, with the win by the Chicago Bears a few weeks ago, it was their 100th win against the Detroit Lions. 100th win. So they now lead the all-time series 100-74 with 5 ties. And the Bears won in Detroit on Thanksgiving Day 1 year ago. Lions last beat the Bears at home the following year, the previous year, 2017, 20-10. So getting into this. All right, here we go. Now, we all know this 2019 season has not gone the way the Bears or Lions surely hoped it would heading into their Thanksgiving Day showdown. That being said, a win on Turkey Day can help bring happiness to a fan base that would surely like something to be happy about in the midst of a down year. While the Lions' playoff hopes are all but extinguished, the Bears at 5-6 kept their faint playoff hopes alive after defeating the Giants at home this past Sunday. Chicago will need another win in the Motor City on Thursday in order to remain in the hunt for a second consecutive postseason appearance. All right, just give me a minute here. It's freezing. Okay, here we go. It's frozen. After a 3-5 start, the Bears have won 2 of their past 3 games on the strength of a defense that has allowed just 44 points over that span. As they were a year ago, the Bears' defense is still among the league's best, led by linebackers Roquan Smith with 82 tackles, Khalil Mack, 6.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, defensive tackle Nick Williams, 6 sacks, and defensive back Kyle Fuller with 3 interceptions and 9 passes defensed. The Bears' defense is 4th in the NFL in scoring and 4th in third down efficiency. Chicago's defense is also 8th against the run and 9th against the pass. Offense has been the Bears' Achilles heel, as Chicago's offense is currently 28th in scoring, 29th in rushing, and 30th in passing. They're also just 29th in third down efficiency, converting on just 30.1% of their third down opportunities. Quarterback Mitchell Trubisky, a year removed from his first Pro Bowl campaign, has thrown just 10 touchdown passes. The Bears' best offensive player this season has been receiver Allen Robinson, who leads the team with 63 receptions for 764 yards and 4 touchdowns. Chicago's kicking game also continues to be an issue. Eddie Pinheiro has missed 5 field goals and 2 extra points. After a 2-0-1 start to the season, the Lions have lost 7 out of their last 8. That includes Sunday's loss to the lowly Redskins. Detroit has been without Matthew Stafford for the past 3 games after the team's franchise quarterback sustained a potential season-ending back injury. The Lions 3-4-1 with Stafford under center are 0-3 without him this season, as Jeff Driscoll has thrown as many interceptions as touchdown passes. The Lions do have one of the league's better receiving duos in Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay, who have combined to catch 109 passes for 1,493 yards and 16 touchdowns. The recent emergence of rookie running back Bo Scarborough, 98 yards on 18 carries against the Redskins, has also been an encouraging sign for the Lions faithful. Like the Bears, defense has been an issue all season for the Lions, despite having Matt Patricia, a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator with the Patriots, as their head coach. The Lions defense is currently 25th in scoring, 24th in run defense, and 30th against the pass. Detroit's defense is also just 28th in the league in third down efficiency and 23rd in red zone defense. While I could see the Lions offense stealing this game, their porous defense has me going with the Bears, who will ride their defense to victory while getting just enough offense from Trubisky and company. Chicago wins a competitive game while keeping their faint playoff hopes alive. So I got the Chicago Bears winning this game. My final score, 24-21. Nothing more to say. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. I hope you're hungry, brother, because we got a lot of stuff tonight.
Yeah, we do, and we're definitely gonna have to get into it. Look, I'm gonna say I totally agree with you, Anthony. I got the Chicago Bears knocking off the Detroit Lions for the same reason and the same factors that you talked about earlier in the night, and that is that Mitchell Trubisky has not been that great at all this year, and there has been a lot of questions about if the Bears should unload on Mitchell Trubisky and get rid of him and maybe go after another quarterback in the upcoming draft. That there's plenty of good quarterbacks out there, especially in this upcoming draft, at least 5 or 6 really good quality quarterbacks out there that maybe the Bears might want to take a flyer. I know my friend Connor's probably flipping out at me right now when he hears this, but I gotta say that is one of the things around the water cooler and that everybody's been addressing. Of course, the kicking issues of Eddie Pinheiro has been well documented. You brought that up as well, but defensively, I think Chicago's just a little better. Plus, with Driscoll as the quarterback, like you said, 4 interceptions to 4 touchdowns in the season, but you kind of have to wonder, this is a trickier game because normally on Thanksgiving, the Lions do play a lot more better, and they have shocked a few people. They've gotten some shocking wins on Thanksgiving Day in the past, but I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears. I think they will get the job done. I'm going to go 21-17, though, is my final score. I got the Bears knocking off the Lions, so let's go on to game number 2.
Which may be the best of the 3 games, and again, that I am strongly thinking about having us do, MF. I'm thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
But there are some other good ones out there on our side of the ledger for the weekend. But this is definitely one game that is definitely right up there. It's in my top 2. There is another one that I'm also leading towards, but that's on Sunday. But for right now, here is that game. My Buffalo Bills squaring off against the Dallas Cowboys, AT&T Stadium, Arlington, Texas, 4:30 kickoff on the mothership on CBS. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, they will have it. Dallas opening up as a 6.5-point favorite. Dallas leads the all-time series 6-4. However, the Bills won the last meeting between these two in 2015. Buffalo beat the Cowboys in Buffalo 6.
Whoa. Okay. Unfortunately, we lost Anthony Floyo temporarily, so hopefully we'll get him back in just a moment. I'll take it for a spin. I'll jump this off. I know he was going through the schematics, but Dallas is definitely the favorite going into the game. However, Dallas did suffer a major loss last week, losing to the New England Patriots. But a lot of people know that with the Patriots game, the problem was that it was in a very sloppy weather. There was a lot of wind. There was a lot of rain. The conditions were so poor it wasn't even funny. This time around, Dallas will be back at home at AT&T Stadium in Arlington to go up against the Buffalo Bills and everything else. And, the one thing that you got to say is Buffalo has a really good defense. They're not top 10, but they are a solid defense. I think they got a good running attack. I think they will be able to run on Dallas a little bit. And, Josh Allen has done pretty good for himself this season. Has about 2,300 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 8 INTs to his credit. And I do believe that he'll have a good game. Dak Prescott might also have a pretty good game, even though Buffalo is 13th against the pass, which puts them in the middle of the road if you're a fantasy owner. But I do believe that you're going to see him definitely rebound, and he's going to want to rebound after a very pitiful performance last week against the New England Patriots. So Dallas has definitely got something to work for. Plus, with all the rumors starting to swirl about Jason Garrett possibly losing his job at the end of the year, Dallas is going to want to play inspired now. They're going to want to win this game for Jason Garrett, so for the fact that they want to keep their hopes alive, because they still are in a divisional hunt. They still have a chance at a playoff, so they definitely need this game. But Buffalo also does as well, because of the fact that they are not that far behind. They're only one game out of the divisional lead against the New England Patriots, and New England's got a very tough game this weekend against Houston. So if New England lose and Buffalo wins, all of a sudden the AFC East becomes a danger game, to say the very least. So, I mean, without a doubt, we're going to have to wait and see. Actually, no, I stand corrected. New England's got 2 games up on Buffalo, not 1. I thought they lost the game. No, they only lost 1. Buffalo's got 3 losses, so it would be a two game spread. It's only a 2-game spread, not 1. So, but without a doubt, the momentum would definitely be on Buffalo's side. But at the end of the day, we'll wait and see what happens. But I got to go with Dallas. I think you're going to see a lot of Amari Cooper. I think we're going to see a lot of Dak Prescott, a lot of Ezekiel Elliott. I think they'll be able to mobilize Josh Allen, but Josh Allen is going to be a mobile quarterback too. That's a little bit of a danger. We'll wait and see how that plays out. And plus, the way that they played the Patriot defense, or the way they played against the Patriots, you couldn't ask for a better performance by the Dallas D. It was just unfortunate. The offense just was unable to sneak by on New England, because one touchdown there, they would have knocked the Patriots off the perch, and they had a couple of opportunities. And plus, there was also that little controversy about that clipping, or there was like an illegal something that happened to the Cowboys that looked a little bogus to me. So nothing more to say. I think Dallas wins it. Definitely low scoring. I think the final score is going to be 20-10. Dallas beats Buffalo. So Anthony, I'll give it to you.
When did I get cut off, MF?
Right during the fact that you were talking about the season battle, or the overall records. Yeah, you were in the schematics when it happened.
All right, so in case I got in case of the cutoff and nobody may have heard it, Dallas is a 6.5-point favorite. Dallas leads the all-time series 6-4. And Buffalo won the last meeting in 2015, a 16-6 win in Buffalo. And, of course, that snapped a 3-game losing streak to the Cowboys. Their last meeting in Dallas was 2011. Dallas whitewashed Buffalo 44-7. Buffalo's only won in Dallas once, and that was in 1993, a 13-10 win. And 2 Super Bowl appearances. Both these two teams met in back-to-back Super Bowls in 27 and 28. Dallas whitewashed Buffalo in both of those games, as we all remember. 52-17 at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, Super Bowl 27. I know that's one of MF's personal favorite Super Bowls, not because of the game, but because of the legendary halftime performance by Michael Jackson, one of his all-time favorites, if not his all-time favorite. But, of course, 94, we also, the following year at the old Georgia Dome in Atlanta in Super Bowl 28, a 30-13 beatdown for Dallas as well. So, yeah, so those are all the schematics on that. And, the second of these 3 Thanksgiving games just might be the best. The Dallas Cowboys will be playing host to the Buffalo Bills, with both sides trending in opposite directions. The boys are still in first place atop the NFC East, but are fresh off a dispiriting loss to the New England Patriots in that rainy Gillette Stadium this past Sunday, while the Bills are busy chasing the Pats in the AFC East after routing the rival Miami Dolphins in Week 12, much to my delight. So let's get into this. The Bills at 8-3 might be one of the quietest, dominant teams in the league. That's partially because they've often looked just okay for the last month, falling big to the Eagles at home, letting the then hapless Browns get their first win, and boosting their stats against the Dolphins of all teams. It's partially because their quarterback Josh Allen is the definition of a boom or bust player. But they're still 8-3, and they still boast one of the NFL's best defenses. A week removed from a rout of another good D in the Broncos, Buffalo is no offensive juggernaut, but its stellar pass coverage is no laughing matter. Allen remains a mercurial leader for a unit that could use another playmaker. But as long as he's got Sean McDermott's defense on his side, his team has a chance. The Cowboys at 6-5, meanwhile, should be one of the most dominant teams in the league, but are far from it. Their offense is easily one of the most productive in all of football, with Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and Amari Cooper leading an attack that averages more than 430 yards a game, including more than 300 through the air per week. Their defense is also nearly a top 5 unit, allowing the 6th fewest points in the league. And yet, time and again, they failed to show up on the big stage, with Coach Jason Garrett's seemingly timid approach carrying over into an 0-4 record against teams with a winning record. Dallas has all the talent and production to be a serious contender, but it's lacked that it factor when it matters most. Teams favored in Thanksgiving games since 2016 have a nearly flawless record, both straight up and against the spread. The Cowboys have a 7-point edge going into this week. Dallas is also just a better balanced, not to mention explosive team. But the Bills are exactly the kind of team that can spell the boys trouble. They play the pass extremely well. They can thrive in low-scoring games. And most importantly, they've got a winning record. Dallas should be in it until the end, but I think this smells like a Turkey Day upset. And I'm going to go for the upset. My Buffalo Bills are going to go into Dallas, and they are going to beat the Dallas Cowboys 24-21, which will send Derek Ferreira back into EDP 4-4-5 mode. Yay us. So that's all I can say on that. So I'm pulling the trigger. 24-21, Buffalo goes into Dallas and stuns the football world. I think they can do it. I really do. It will not be easy. Of course, I don't have all the confidence in the world, but you never know. So let's move on to our final Turkey Day matchup for the NFL, which will be in prime time on NBC. That, of course, a matchup of the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, on NBC, of course, with Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya. And the Saints are opening up as 6.5-point favorites. However, the Atlanta Falcons recently went into New Orleans and absolutely manhandled the Saints, which caused me to get eliminated from my Yahoo Survival League, where I was on such such a hot streak and then all of a sudden crash and burn. And it gave Atlanta, in addition to their lead, it's now 52-48 for Atlanta in the all-time series, and that win snapped a 3-game losing streak to the Saints. But the Saints, they won in Atlanta last year. Who will ever forget it? That 43-37 5-star overtime thriller at Mercedes-Benz Stadium last year. Falcons last beat the Saints at home the previous year, 2017. That was a 20-17 final. So let's get into the Saints and the Falcons. The New Orleans Saints at 9-2 and the Atlanta Falcons at 3-8 are going to put a bow on the Thanksgiving slate when these two NFC South teams square up on Thursday night. The last time they faced one another came back in Week 10 when Atlanta stunned the Saints to the tune of a 26-9 final score. Given that the Falcons were 1-7 leading up to that game, and the Saints being one of the best teams in the NFC, the fact that Atlanta was able to dominate them so decisively was pretty jarring. Not only did it warrant some questions about the Saints, but even more so begged the question of where the effort from the Falcons was to start the year. They continued that hot streak for another week against Carolina, but did have that brief 2-game winning streak snapped last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As for the Saints, that loss has started to look like an outlier as they've since dropped 34 points in each of the previous 2 games. They'll hope that they don't revert back towards what they looked like a few weeks ago as they continue to position themselves for a top seed in the NFC over these final games of the regular season. A big reason for the Falcons pulling off the upset against New Orleans 3 weeks ago was largely due to the pressure the front seven was able to put on Drew Brees, as the veteran quarterback was sacked a season-high 6 times in the loss. That pressure also helped Atlanta keep the Saints offense out of the end zone as they held Brees without a touchdown. Only the second time this season he couldn't record a passing score. He still was able to complete over 70% of his passes and throw for 287 yards, but it simply didn't result in too many points as New Orleans settled for field goals. The passing game hasn't been an issue at all for New Orleans since that loss, as Brees has thrown 3 touchdowns in each of the past 2 games. Discipline will play a major part in the Saints coming out on top this time around. Back in Week 10, New Orleans didn't do itself any favors as it had 12 penalties as a team for 90 yards and handed Atlanta 6 first downs off those infractions. With its loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last weekend, Atlanta sits at just 3-8. The Saints, however, are currently slated as the number 2 seed in the NFC and are just 1 game back of the surprising San Francisco 49ers for the number 1 seed. So there is plenty of incentive for New Orleans in this contest. On the injury front, Falcons receiver Julio Jones with a shoulder, tight end Austin Hooper with a knee, and running back Devontae Freeman with a foot are all worth monitoring as this game draws closer. With the Saints, star cornerback Marshawn Lattimore with a hamstring and left tackle Teron Armstead with an ankle are 2 names to keep an eye on. The Saints seem to be over the hiccup that was their loss to the Falcons a few weeks ago and have looked more like the team that is vying for another Super Bowl over these last 2 games. With the Falcons not having much to play for on top of their 1-4 home record on the year, it seems like New Orleans should secure its 10th win of the season rather easily as long as it can keep Drew Brees upright. And I do believe if they win this game, they also win the division. So with that being said, I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints to get their payback on the Falcons. Final score for me, I'm going to go 34-20. New Orleans over Atlanta. Win number 10 and a back-to-back NFC South Division Championship. Agree, MF?
I agree. I'm going to go with Atlanta. I'm going to go with New Orleans as well. It's going to be a tough game, no doubt about it, because whenever you get divisional opponents, it's always tricky. Look what happened last week. New Orleans just barely beat the Carolina Panthers. That was a very good game. I think it was like 34-31. Close game. And New Orleans just barely got by them. So, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a good matchup. But I got to go with New Orleans to get the job done. Closer than what the experts have it. 31-27 is my final score. Anthony, time to go into college.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And before we do, I just want to point out some notable games to watch for this weekend, since we will not be doing the NFL Saturday show. I know, but at the same time, though, we need the rest because we've been busy. So that's all there is to say on that. So some quick games to keep an eye on for this weekend. Hands down, the game of the week right here. The San Francisco 49ers against the Baltimore Ravens. Can you say Super Bowl preview?
Very much so. Very much so, yes.
They've met in the Super Bowl before, Super Bowl 47. Who will ever forget it? The infamous Beyonce lights out moment. So in the Superdome. So you never know. That could be we could see that again in just a couple months' time. So we'll see. So Niners and Ravens, clear game of the week right there. Tennessee Titans against the Indianapolis Colts. Big time implications in the AFC South. Keep an eye on that one. Now, I'm not just going by our side. I'm also going to include the other side because there are there's actually only one real other big game on the other side of the ledger. But how about the Oakland Raiders against the Kansas City Chiefs? That became interesting. AFC West implications in that one. Big time. And a game that weeks ago looked like it was going to be a game. But after the events of a few weeks ago, we get the second round. The Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all remember what happened, the infamous brawl. So keep an eye out on that one. Maybe not divisional implications, but maybe wild card implications for both of those teams. They're in the mix. The other game that I was leaning towards when it came to our side, MF, in addition to that Buffalo-Dallas game, you mentioned it. The big Sunday night matchup, the New England Patriots and the Houston Texans. Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson. Oof. That's got 5 stars written all over it, maybe. And then to close it out, another big game in the NFC. The Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks.
What a game.
Major NFC playoff implications. That game's for seeding right there, folks.
Yep.
So those are just some of the big games to keep an eye on. So but those are the ones that are of interest to me, and I can't wait to see how all of those play out. And I do believe we're getting that Niner Raven game on our end. So thank you, Lord, for that. I want to see it. So can't wait to see it. So that's it for the NFL. When it comes to the NFL, we'll be back with that on tentatively now. Hopefully there'll be no plans in the way. Saturday night, December the 7th, when we preview the Week 14 slate of the NFL season. My gosh, this thing is flying. So that's all there is to say on that. So NFL is done. Now let's get to the college football portion of this show. 2 words for you, MF. Rivalry week. Let's go. And we got a bonus game. We initially had 4 Friday games. Now we got 5. And the 5th one just came in. It's going to kick off the day on Black Friday. High noon over on ABC. It's the Battle of Virginia. The number 24 Virginia Tech Hokies squaring off against the Virginia Cavaliers from Scott Stadium in Virginia. High noon over on ABC. I don't know if I can find the announcer sheet because that usually doesn't come out.
You probably won't, Florio, because it's probably going to be too soon.
Yeah, I would probably assume it is, but MF will be leading off on that one anyway. So maybe while he gives his thought on it, maybe I can sneak in the door on that. But let's see. Virginia is opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. That's all I can give you. So MF, we kick off rivalry week with the Battle of Virginia and big time ACC implications here.
Yeah, because the winner of this game goes to the ACC championship game. This is a Coastal Division title match. So this is the game. This is going to decide it one way or another. If Virginia wins, they go to play Clemson in Jacksonville in Charlotte, I should say, for the ACC crown. If Tech wins, they go to the ACC championship game in Charlotte to play against Clemson. So the game's going to be very interesting. They're both really good teams. Virginia coming off of a huge win. Well, they dominated Liberty 55 to 27. And for Virginia Tech, the reason why they got it, well, they didn't really play anybody the last game out. So their last win was against Pitt, a shutout, 28-0. And as a matter of fact, they haven't given up a touchdown or any points in 2 games in a row. They shut it out. Georgia Tech 45-0. They shut it out. Pittsburgh 28-0 on Senior Day last weekend. I don't think they're gonna do it this time around. They're gonna give up some points here. But with Virginia, this is gonna be a very good matchup to say the very least. I think it's gonna be a barn burner, a great fight down to the wire. I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to say Virginia at home. I'm going to go with Virginia to knock them off. And my final score is 35-31. Virginia wins the ACC Coastal Division, and that will give them a date against Clemson in the ACC Championship, which is next week, right after that. So, Anthony, I got Virginia to win it. Were you able to find the commentary crews or no?
Believe it or not, yes, I did.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Thank you, awfulannouncing.com. I love that site. Great site. They put it out, I think it said about 6 hours ago. So I am very grateful. Thank you for that. Okay, I got it. And besides, that's the site I always use. So that makes it even better. So usually that doesn't come out until like maybe Wednesday, maybe even Thursday, but boy, howdy, I got lucky here tonight. So on the call for Virginia Tech and Virginia for ABC, it'll be Dave Fleming with Jim Mora Jr. and Paul Carcaterra. They will have the call for that one. Now, I do apologize. Some of these previews will not be as detailed as I usually get them, but, it is what it is. Only for, like, the really significant games, I will have the full preview for that. But nonetheless, I'll go with this. The Cavaliers are saddled with a 15-game losing streak to the Hokies, a burden that can be lifted on Friday. The reward, as MF said, is a trip to the ACC championship game, and the Cavaliers are 0-2 against the spread as an underdog this season. The Hokies are peaking at the right time, but, MF, you intrigued me. I'm actually going to go for it. I'm going to go with you in the upset. I'm going to say Virginia wins as well. I'm going to go 29-26, Virginia. So with that, let's move on to our next matchup, a 2:30 kickoff on the Big Ten Network. The number 17 Iowa Hawkeyes squaring off against the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Memorial Stadium, Lincoln, Nebraska. And on that call, it will be Kevin Kugler, Matt Millen, Lisa Byington. They will have it. And the spread favors Iowa by 5.5. And I believe that's all the schematics here. So Nebraska needs a win to become bowl eligible, but the Huskers would need to break an 0-3 trend against the spread as an underdog. Iowa can still get to 9 wins for the season, and the Hawkeyes have not given up more than 24 points in a game this season. So with that being said, I'm going with Iowa to win this game. My final score, 24-20. Iowa beats Nebraska. MF, how about it?
I agree. Iowa beats Nebraska. This is going to be a very good matchup to say the very least, but Iowa just wants to keep themselves on a good trajectory going into what they believe is going to be a big opening for them. So we'll see what happens there. But I agree. I'm going to go with Iowa as well. Nothing more to say. Florio, go.
And MF, we're gonna get into what undoubtedly will be the best game of the Friday slate right here. And I'm looking forward to this one. Ooh, is this going to be a good one? Let me just okay, here we go. It will be with from the American Athletic Conference, a 3:30 kickoff on ABC. The number 18 Memphis Tigers at home at the Liberty Bowl. They're going to be hosting the number 19 Cincinnati Bearcats. Major American Athletic Football Conference implications in this one. On the call for that will be Jason Benetti, Rod Gilmore, and Quint Kesenich. They will have it. And believe it or not, Memphis is actually opening up as a double-digit favorite. They're opening up as a 10.5-point favorite. Wow. I'm very surprised to hear that. But MF, Cincy and Memphis, without question, the headliner for the Friday side.
Oh, without a doubt. And this is going to be a very interesting matchup, to say the very least, because the thing is that there is major implications. Here it is. Cincinnati's got nothing to play for. They don't, because they've already captured the Eastern Division title. They will play in the championship game. Now, it's going to be very interesting because if Memphis wins, they're going to face each other again next week. But this time, the game's going to be in Cincinnati, not in Memphis. On top of that, if Memphis loses, Navy plays. That's right, you heard me. Navy actually will get basically it goes like this. So Cincinnati, here's how it goes. If Memphis wins, they play Cincinnati again, and that's fine. If they lose, though, if Memphis loses, it opens the door for Navy, because if Navy wins, and they got to play Houston, not an easy game on Saturday, but if Navy beats Houston, Navy goes to the AAC championship game, and they play Cincinnati for that title. And who knows, a New Year's 6 is possibly on the line in that game. So we'll wait and see what happens. I'm going to say Memphis wins, because I don't think Cincinnati's going to throw all their horses out. I think they're going to protect them for the AAC championship game. So I got Memphis winning. They'll move on. Anthony, it's yours.
I actually do have a little more detailed notes on not just this game, but also the Virginia Tech and Virginia game. Who would have thought the ACC's Coastal Division would come down to the battle for the Commonwealth Cup? And yes, I will be sure, only for those significant rivalry games that are mentioned, I'll mention, whatever the significance of it is. And this is the Commonwealth Cup. Both of these teams ended this rivalry on 3-game win streaks, though the Hokies is arguably better, considering it includes a ranked win over Wake Forest and 2 shutouts. And that said, these teams have near identical metrics in total offense, scoring offense, total defense, scoring defense. The game may be in Charlottesville, but all the pressure will be on Cavs' team that hasn't won in this series since 2003. And it'll be worth seeing how that affects both teams, especially early in the game. But MF and I were going out on the limb and say Bryce Perkins has a big game to lead Virginia finally to a cathartic win over the Hokies. And I'm actually going to tweak my final score a little bit. I still have Virginia pulling the upset, but I'm going to go one higher, 30-27. So that's it for that one. Now, as far as Cincy and Memphis goes, could this be the first of a doubleheader between these two teams? If Memphis wins, they'll rematch the Bearcats the following week in the AAC championship. If Cincy wins and Navy beats Houston, then the Midshipmen will get that honor for the AAC's West Division. That said, I think Memphis's backfield duo of Brady White with 3,074 yards, 30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and running back Kenneth Gainwell, 1,294 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns, will wear down on Cincinnati's defense. Get ready to see these teams play again during championship weekend next week. So I'm going with Memphis to win this as well. My final score, I'm going to go 38-28, Memphis over Cincinnati. Should be a great one. 3:30 kickoff as well, this time over on the CBS Sports Network. We have a matchup of the number 20 Boise State Broncos squaring off against the Colorado State Rams at Sunny Lubbock Field at Canvas Stadium. Wow, never heard of that one before. But nonetheless, this one over on CBS Sports Network, we got Rich Waltz with Aaron Murray and AJ Ross, and Boise opening up as 12.5-point favorites. Can't say I'm surprised with that. So getting into this one. Oh, I don't see this in my... Oh, here it is. Okay, I got it. Boise State's frustrating season for bettors continues. The Broncos are 5-5 against the spread as a favorite, and they covered the last 2 weeks. Boise State remains in the conversation for a New Year's Day Six Bowl bid, and they know it. So I got Boise winning this one handily. I will say 34-14. Boise, easy win over Colorado State. So MF, as I just mentioned, Boise's still in the hunt for a New Year's Six bowl, and an easy win against Colorado State could get them one step closer to it.
It could, but they're going to need some help. They're going to need somebody to trip up along the way, because remember, the highest ranked team in the non-Power 5 gets the spot. So, I mean, right now, Boise is on the outside looking in, but if Cincinnati, if Cincinnati or Memphis, well, the thing is, they probably need Cincinnati to get tripped up. Then they're going to have to turn around and hope that, or have Memphis lose, they get knocked out, and then hope that Navy some way, somehow wins the whole thing. That would give them the edge to possibly get a New Year's Six spot. And if they do, you know, Boise has been known to pull some upsets in the New Year's Six. Back in the day, when it was the Bowl Championship Series, you know what that is. So the New Year's Six has always been very enlightening, very good for them. So I think Boise should get the job done. There's no doubt about it. So I got Boise State winning that game. No doubt about that. So the next game on our docket is actually, well, we've had Anthony has to stepped away for a moment, so I'll take over. The next game, guys, is Appalachian State, and they will be going up against they're going to be going up against the men of Troy in that game, and that game is scheduled for that game is actually as a 6 o'clock kickoff, and that game will be exclusively on, let's see if I can find it. Just hold on one second, please. It's a little difficult now. Now I kind of feel Florio's coming from with the when he has the issues with the docket. Okay. And so what we do have here is, if I can get it, it is set for Friday, guys. 6 o'clock. Appalachian State is going to be the team that everybody wants to see win. They become darlings of, college football lately. I kind of feel like there isn't really much in the way for them to lose here. I think Appalachian State should win. And actually, okay, the commentators, this game will be on ESPN Plus and Wayne Gandy. So they're going to be doing the game. And like I said, it's going to be, I got Appalachian State to win this game as well. So Appalachian State is a 13-point favorite exclusively on ESPN Plus, which, oh, by the way, I did get. Don't get to watch ESPN Plus. Matt Stewart, Wayne Gandy are the announcers for the game. So, Florio, I hit the schematics. I say Appalachian State wins. What says you?
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with my connection, but it keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. Hopefully it's the last time. So I do apologize for that once again. As MF mentioned, we had. Did I when did we get cut off? Did I give my? Yeah, I gave my Boise thought, and you did too.
Yep. So we were going to go right. We were going right into the. We were going into the Appalachian State versus Troy.
Yep. And as MF mentioned, 6 o'clock over on the ESPN Plus, the number 25 Appalachian State Mountaineers. They're squaring off against the Troy Trojans at Veterans Memorial Stadium. I'm not sure where that is, but and also App State is a double-digit favorite, as MF mentioned. So yeah, just waiting for this to come up. So, okay, all right, here we go. All right, we're getting it. All right, here we go. And yeah, I have Appalachian State as 12.5-point favorites, but 12.5 for App State on that end. So with all that, it's App State. It absolutely is App State. I mean, MF nailed it. They should be undefeated, but they did lose. They had that tough loss, that demoralizing loss at home some time ago. The Mountaineers still have an outside shot at a New Year's Day 6 bid, but they need to put up big numbers to do that. The Trojans won the last meeting at home, but Appalachian State hits a late touchdown for the cover. So App State wins this one. I agree. My final score, I'm going to go 34-20. Appalachian State over Troy. And now we get into the Saturday slate, and what a way to start it off. Here we go. The game that, of course, every Michigan football fan, especially MF, has circled in blood red every year. It doesn't matter if they're good, if they're bad, or what have you. It's a blood red game because it's the game. If you get my drift. If you didn't see it earlier, the college football playoff rankings for this week came out, and we have a brand new number one team. And that number one team is the Ohio State Buckeyes. And they are going to be squaring off against the now number 13 Michigan Wolverines, Michigan Stadium, the Big House, Ann Arbor. And of course, you know who's going to be there for this one, of course. It's on Fox. It's Gus Johnson. It's Joel Klatt. It's Jenny Taft. They're going to be there for this. And much to the chagrin of Michigan fans, I hate to break it to you, but Ohio State is opening up as a 9.5-point favorite. Sorry. So with all that being said, let's go. This is one of the big main events of the week, if not the main event of the week. But then again, we got some other huge ones. So can Michigan play spoiler for an Ohio State team tabbed by many as the most complete team in the country? The onus is on the Wolverines to overcome that fearsome Buckeyes advance. The drop of a 3-16 record in this series since 2000. That must start with an aggressive, efficient aerial attack by Shea Patterson, 12 touchdown passes and 1 interception in his last 4 games. To that end, his offensive line, which has allowed 20 sacks on him this season, must keep 2 men or more on Chase Young, who returned with a splash with 3 sacks last week against Penn State. The Wolverines' top 10 caliber defense will attempt to stymie Ohio State's top-ranked offense, headlined by quarterback Justin Fields, 2,797 total yards, 43 total touchdowns, and running back J.K. Dobbins, 1,446 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns. Good news and bad news. The good news is Michigan won't get blown out like last year. But the bad news is Ohio State will flex its muscle once more in yet another win. I say Michigan will give them fits for 3 quarters, but then I think in the 4th, Ohio State will pull away. So I'm going with Ohio State to beat Michigan. Sorry, MF. I have to be the man who tells it like it is here. 31-17. Ohio State will eke by Michigan thanks to a late score in the 4th. So that's all I can say on that. But MF, Ohio State, Michigan, this game is to you what USC and Notre Dame is to me. Blood red game.
Oh, yeah, and no doubt about it. And this is the rivalry. Everybody knows when you are it doesn't matter. This is that war that everybody knows. It is a state-by-state war. It's one of those that you don't like either team. If you're in the maize and blue, you basically been known to hate the Buckeyes. If you're a Buckeye fan, you've been known to despise the maize and blue of Michigan. And the rivalry was even documented on a tremendous job that they did back in the day by HBO Sports. They did an incredible documentary of Michigan and Ohio State, and they emphasized the dislike, the hatred of these two teams. And the thing is that they always talk about the game, that if you win that game, then basically you get the bragging rights for 364 days before the next battle. It doesn't matter if it's at the Big House in Ann Arbor or the Horseshoe in Columbus. Whatever the case may be, that's the war that you live and die by. And and there's so many great moments of these two teams. For Michigan, basically, when Tim Biakabatuka ran over the Buckeyes for over 200 yards and destroyed Ohio State. Or if you remember, when Desmond Howard cemented his place as the Heisman Trophy winner with the kickback. Everybody remembers the Keith Jackson commentary. Hello, Heisman. When he ran it into the end zone, does the Heisman pose. And let me tell you, Michigan fans rubs it in the faces of Ohio State fans still to this day over those moments. But Ohio State has had Michigan's number for the last 15 years. So there's no doubt about it. Ohio State has dominated this series, and they definitely have proven themselves to be worthy. From Jim Tressel to Urban Meyer to now this moment. This is the first time this head coaching staff is facing Michigan. For Jim Harbaugh, the questions has always been, you've been a good coach, but can you knock off Ohio State? Can you do it? He's going to give it a gallant effort. This is the most complete Michigan team we have seen. And on top of that, after the tough luck loss to Penn State, Michigan has been on a mission since that game. Why? Because they still believe they have a shot at the New Year's Six. Why do I believe that? Number one, if you are the second place team in the conference, it does not matter if Ohio State wins, and they've already clinched the East. But if Ohio State wins the Big Ten, it's not the second place representative that goes through. It's the highest ranked team behind Ohio State that can get into the college football playoff. So therefore, if Michigan is higher than Ohio State, but they would need Penn State to lose, and they would have to have Ohio State win the Big Ten championship. If that happens, Michigan goes to the Rose Bowl as an at-large team. It's very possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility if you're Michigan. So, obviously, Michigan has to win this game. But, you know this is Ohio State. And their toughest test up to the point was Penn State. Penn State fell, gallant effort. They got to play for 4 quarters. And sometimes Michigan's been a little lackadaisical. This was the first time all year long Ohio State looked vulnerable. All season long. They were having a difficult time against Penn State. And there was a point in that game where they were in trouble. There was genuine trouble. There's going to be the largest crowd in Michigan history that's going to be at the Big House coming up at on Saturday. They are projected to have well over 105,000. It's going to be a record at Michigan Stadium. They got to play for 4 quarters, and they got to play the way that they know they got to play. Dominic Peoples-Jones got to have to show up. The running game is going to have to show up. Shea Patterson's going to have the performance of his career. And he's been having great games lately. He's got to show up on Saturday. If he doesn't, unfortunately, Michigan, you go down. I think it is going to be one of those things. This is going to be a great game, Anthony. Obviously, okay. My heart says Michigan. My head says Michigan, but that's just the fan in me. If I'm going to be professional and an announcer, I got Ohio State winning. But I want Michigan to win this game. I would love to see Michigan just mess everything up in the college football playoff. And I know Jason Hinzenbach, he would love to see Michigan win this game because that's one less team that they would have to worry about as it pertains to Alabama getting into the college football playoff. So, with that said, obviously my expert and professional says Ohio State, but as a fan, I want Michigan.
Fair enough.
It's all yours.
Yep, that's more than fair enough, MF. Absolutely. High noon over on ESPN. We have the now number 3 Clemson Tigers squaring off against the South Carolina Gamecocks at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. This game over on ABC, or I should say ESPN, I beg your pardon. Dave Patch, Greg McElroy, Tom Luginbill, they will be on the call for that. And Clemson opening up as a 27.5-point favorite. MF. Ooh.
It's Clemson. I'm not even going to waste my time on this one. It's Clemson. They just got to just keep playing. Keep winning. Keep doing what they're doing. They're starting to turn it around. Trevor Lawrence is starting to get it's starting to gel great for him, and everything is going their way now. It seems like now they look like that team that nobody wants to face. Clemson is starting to look like the national champions that we know they are, and they're starting to rise up at the right time. They're peaking at the right moment. And let me tell you, everybody, even if you were watching that college football ranking show today, and they were saying it, nobody wants to play Clemson because you know why? Clemson is starting to look like that national championship juggernaut that they were a year ago. They look like that team that nobody wants to face. And let me tell you, that's why everybody's trying to be number 1, because they're trying to avoid Clemson. If you can, because all of a sudden they're starting to look like that team. South Carolina, sorry guys, you're about to get a rude awakening on Saturday afternoon. I got Clemson winning this one, relative ease, almost in a laugher. Floyd will go.
Oh yeah. Let me get this up here. All right. It has been a rough season for the Gamecocks, but they did beat Georgia and lost the top 10 teams, Florida and Alabama, by an average of 17.5 points this season. Clemson has a chance to make it 6 in a row in this heated series, but they haven't won by more than 25 in Columbia since 2013. So, or I should say 2003, rather. So I got Clemson winning this one. My final score, what do I have? 38-14. Yeah, 38-14. I got Clemson knocking off South Carolina with the greatest of ease, as the Booker man would always say. So let's move on to our final high noon kickoff, believe it or not. Only 3 high noon games. The number 4, Maiden Georgia Bulldogs, squaring off against their in-state rival, the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech, at Bobby Dodd Stadium at historic Grant Field. ABC high noon. We got Bob Wischusen, Dan Orlovsky, and Allison Williams. And Georgia opening up as 28.5, do I see? Yes, 28.5 point spread for the Made in Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia has won the last 2 meetings by an average of 27.5 points a game, which explains the spread. The Bulldogs get their offense going before the SEC championship game, and the defense shuts Georgia Tech down. The Yellow Jackets are 2-1 against the spread as a double-digit underdog. So, but nonetheless, I'm going with Georgia. I got Georgia winning. My final score, easy win, 34-10. Made in Georgia all day. So, MF, the Battle of Georgia. There's only one team that rules the state.
Yeah, and that is Made in Georgia. No doubt about it. There's really nothing more to say. I think Georgia will win the game. I think they'll keep their momentum alive. And like you said, next week is the big one. It's going to be the big game, the SEC championship game at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And that's the one that could make or break the Georgia Bulldogs, because if they win that game, they're in. They would go into the college football playoff. If they lose, then you open up the Pandora's box, and who knows who gets in at that point. So Georgia just got to handle their business. If they win out, they're in. So I don't know. That at that point, does the debate become, does LSU let Georgia win and basically lock the 4? You know, you get 2 SEC teams there again, and you know there's going to be that debate about SEC, ruling the college football again. So we'll wait and see what happens. So Florio, it's yours.
MF, are you ready for another big main event?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Are you ready for the Iron Bowl?
Oh,
the SEC on CBS, and it kicks off our 3:30 slate of action. We got the Iron Bowl. The number 5 Alabama Crimson Tide. The number 15 Auburn Tigers. Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Jamie Erdahl. They will have it, and the spread favors Alabama. What's this? By single digits?
3.5.
Well, mine says 4.5, but nonetheless, it's a single digit spread for Bama. They're usually double digit favorites almost every week. Wow. Okay. But nonetheless, it's MF has 3.5. I have 4.5. We'll just say between 3.5 and 4.5. But Bama is still the favorite despite no Tua Tagovailoa. MF, it's going to be on Mac Jones. Mac Jones, they had an easy tune-up against Western Carolina. Auburn had an easy tune-up against Samford. But now it's the Iron Bowl. Oh, Bama.
This is the make-or-break moment for Alabama. You got to win this game. If you lose this, you're done. There's no ifs, no ands, no buts about it. Jason Hizbog knows the writing is on the wall. If you win this game, you have to destroy Auburn. And it needs a lot of help to get into the college football playoff. If Auburn wins, which it's very possible because they pushed LSU to the limit, they pushed Georgia to the brink, and they almost won both those games, but came away tough luck losers. They lost to LSU by 3 in Baton Rouge, and then at home against Georgia, and they lost by 7. But they could have won that game. They let a couple of mistakes get by and everything else. Now you're going up against Alabama without Tua Tagovailoa, a vaunted defense in that stadium in Auburn with the Iron Bowl. If you remember, the last time Alabama and the Iron Bowl happened, I think was like a couple of years ago. I think it was 2017. Wasn't that the infamous?
If you're thinking about the kick 6, that was 2013.
2013. But didn't wasn't there another time where Auburn beat them in Auburn?
I think it was 2 years ago. I think you're right.
And 2 years ago.
I believe it
and
was.
that ended Alabama's hopes for the SEC and national. No, Alabama still got in because of that law. They still got in because it was only their first loss of the year. Well, Lindsey McCormick, I'm gonna say it, girl. I hope the security protects the goalposts, and I hope we don't have another, because I think we're going to get another stampede. I think you're going to get another stampede in Auburn, and I think it's going to happen again. I'm going for the upset. I'm calling it now. Auburn knocks off Alabama, ends Alabama's season, and that's it for Bama. You guys are goners after this. Goodbye and good riddance, I say. Bama loses. Auburn wins the Iron Bowl. 24-21. I know I'm probably going to get disagreed on, but I don't give a damn. Auburn wins the Iron Bowl. Florio, go.
Wow. Now, if Tua doesn't get hurt, does the tune change for MF? I'm sure it would have.
Oh, absolutely. If Tua is in the game, Bama rolls. Like, it would be a blowout. No doubt in my mind. Bama would destroy Auburn. But because Tua's not in there, and I think there was a couple of other defensive players that got hurt for Bama, they're not at 100%. Auburn is. I think Auburn pulls the upset.
Okay, I was just curious on that, but fair enough. The last time Alabama entered Jordan-Hare Stadium, the Tigers dominated nearly every facet of the game in a 26-14 win. It will be on Alabama to overcome the Tigers' distinctively difficult home field advantage with Mac Jones, who has completed 41 of 56 passes for 676 yards and 6 touchdowns in replacement of the injured Tua Tagovailoa. He will face his toughest test to date this season against what is possibly the best, deepest defensive line in college football that is comprised of Derek Brown, Marlon Davidson, Tyrone Truesdell, Big Cat Bryant, Nick Coe, and Caleb Johnson, who have combined for 34 tackles for loss and 18 sacks. To that end, Alabama will attempt to get Jones in rhythm with quick throws to Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, and Jalen Waddle, who have combined for 186 receptions, 3,218 receiving yards, and 31 touchdowns. On the other side, the Alabama defense, which has been uncharacteristically undisciplined this season, will attempt to keep Bo Nix, who has suffered his fair share of freshman mistakes, off balance. It will be closer than in previous years, but I'm sorry, MF, I disagree with you. I look for Alabama to win a close one to keep its slim playoff hopes alive for another week. So, yes, I'm going with Alabama to win this one. My final score, 31-24. Alabama just barely pulls it out over Auburn in this latest installment of the Iron Bowl. Next up, oh boy, another main event. This game with massive Big Ten implications here. 3:30 kickoff on ABC. The number 8 Minnesota Golden Gophers at home at TCF Bank Stadium, hosting the number 12 Wisconsin Badgers. Now, normally you get this crew in prime time, but no, you're getting them in the afternoon. The A-team's going to be at this one. Yes, Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Maria Taylor, they're going to be in Minnesota for this Wisconsin-Minnesota game. How about that? And Wisconsin opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. So this is huge, folks. I mean, it's another division clinching game, this time out of the Big Ten West. The Gophers already won a primetime game against Penn State earlier this season in TCF Bank Stadium, but even that pales when compared to the battle for Paul Bunyan's axe. This game will play out in typical Big Ten fashion in the first half before we start seeing the offenses land shots after halftime. Jonathan Taylor 1,685 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns, will make plays for Wisconsin. But the question is whether quarterback Jack Cohn, 2,029 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, can make enough plays to keep the Minnesota defense honest. That will be the key difference for Minnesota's Tanner Morgan, 2,679 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and running backs Rodney Smith and Mohamed Ibrahim, 1,488 combined rushing yards and 14 touchdowns. Because this game is in Minnesota, I'm going with Minnesota will get it done. They knock off Wisconsin 28-24. They win the Big Ten West, and they also will get their hands on Paul Bunyan's axe. There's nothing more to say. MF, another main event, Big Ten West to the winner. Get ready for some more Shakespearean drama.
And I agree. I gotta go with Minnesota as well. I think they're gonna get it. They're gonna get the job done. I think they're gonna figure out Jonathan Taylor. I think they're gonna figure him out. They're gonna hold him under the 200-yard plateau. I know I predicted that last week, and it did not come true. I think they will do it with this one. The Paul Bunyan axe will go to Minnesota. The Big Ten West goes to Minnesota, and Minnesota will have a date with Ohio State December 7 in Indianapolis for the Big Ten crown. I got Minnesota winning. Florio, go.
All right, and as exciting as those games are, unfortunately, we do have some games in there as well. And let's try to get through these in somewhat fast order here. 3:30 kickoff over on ESPN. The number 9 Baylor Bears on the road against the Kansas Jayhawks at David Booth Memorial Stadium in Lawrence, Kansas. We got Beth Mowins, Anthony Becht, and Rocky Boyman. They will have the call. I don't have a spread for this game.
I got 14 points for Baylor.
Okay. Yeah, I got 14 as well for Baylor now that I see it. So MF, Baylor, they got the job done. They bounced back. Big win over Texas. And now they have a nice little tune-up before they get their shot at revenge against the Sooners in what will be one hell of a Big 12 title game.
And I agree with that, no doubt about it. This will be a nice little tune-up for them. I got Baylor winning. There's really nothing more to add, Floyo. Let's just move on.
Absolutely. Baylor is near the bottom of the one-loss pileup, but victories in the next 2 weeks could produce a Big 12 championship and an intriguing argument for the playoff committee. The Bears are just 1-4 against the spread as a double-digit favorite this season, and Les Miles will pull out all the stops in the finale. I got Baylor winning. My final score, 37-24. Baylor over Kansas. Move on. Our final 3:30 game. Oh, this is one of the Zonk games of the week, if not the Zonk game of the week. 3:30 kickoff on the Big Ten Network. The number 10 Penn State Nittany Lions back at home at Beaver Stadium in Happy Valley. They're going to be hosting the doormats, the proverbial doormats of the Big Ten, the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. On the call for that, it will be, let me see here. Brandon Gaudin, James Laurinaitis, and Elise Menaker. They will, and Penn State. Oh, whoa, Lord. Penn State, I think they're the biggest favorite of the week. I wouldn't be surprised. They're 40.5-point favorites. But then again, that's the average spread for any team that plays Rutgers nowadays. So, Is it me or is it you, MF?
It's you.
It's me. Okay, I thought so. I just wanted to be sure on that. Come on. It's Penn State. I mean, like I said, Rutgers is the proverbial, or here we go. The Nittany, it's a small little thing here. The Nittany Lions have a small risk for a hangover after the loss to Ohio State, but a blowout here could lead to a 10-win season and a New Year's 6 appearance. Rutgers has lost its last Big Ten games by an average of 35.4 points a game. Sounds about right, with one more for good measure. Penn State, easy win. They roll 52-10 MF.
Agreed. No, nothing else to add. So let's move on.
And we have a 4 o'clock. We have what? Do we have two?
2 4 o'clock
Yes,
games.
Yep, 2 4 o'clock games. First of which will be seen over on the Pac-12 network. The number 14 Oregon Ducks back at home at Autzen Stadium in Eugene. It's the Civil War. They're going to be hosting the Beavers of Oregon State. This is the Civil War. Over on the Pac-12 network, they will have this contest, and on that call, it will be Ted Robinson with Yogi Roth and Jill Savage, and Oregon. Oregon opening up as a 17.5-point favorite. Now, if you didn't watch our last College Football Thursday show, you will recall that good old MF Michael Fletcher went on the record and said that Oregon was going to be a college football playoff team this year. Funny thing happened at Sun Devil Stadium, MF. What happened?
Herm Edwards happened. Oregon, the Sun Devils happened. Stampede on the field happened. The Ducks drowned. There's no point. There's no way to cut it. Oregon drowned. They went down. They got knocked out. They're done. There's no way they're getting into the college football playoff now. Utah now has the open door. More than anything else now. Now, if Utah wins out and a couple of teams lose, they could get in. So, this was a devastating loss if you're an Oregon fan. Dude, the Civil War could not have come at a better time. Oregon State, not that great. Oregon is spitting mad. Last year, they blew them out. I think it was like 55-23. It's going to be pretty close to that same score line this year. Oregon rolls. They're mad, Florio. They know they let one get away. The college football playoff was right there for the taking. All they got to do is win out. They're gone. So somebody's gonna feel their pain. I rest assure you.
Oh yeah, they're not the only one topping mad. Our dear friend Eric Carrier, you better believe he's topping mad.
Oh, he was.
He certainly was. Yeah,
he was.
I saw the Facebook post, man. Oof. That's all there is to say on that. Oregon is out of the playoff race, but the Ducks still control the Civil War. They have won the last two meetings by a combined total of 99 points. The Beavers need this one to become bowl eligible. Oregon is not going to let that happen. Not as bad as MF thinks, but I still have Oregon winning comfortably. I'll say Oregon wins 44-28. 44-28 Oregon over Oregon State in the Civil War. 4 o'clock kickoff on Fox. My number 16, Notre Dame Fighting Irish on the road in Palo Alto as they take on the Cardinal of Stanford at Stanford Stadium. This will be over on Fox with a 4 o'clock kickoff, and working that one will be Tim Brando with Spencer Tillman and Coley Harvey. They will have it, and Notre Dame opening up as a 16.5-point favorite. I'm very encouraged to see that. The Irish still have a shot at a New Year's Day Six Bowl, and the Cardinal are coming off a rare loss to rival Cal. Notre Dame has covered each of the last 3 weeks, and they will make it 4 in a row. So I got Notre Dame with another easy win. The last couple of weeks, they blew the doors off of Navy 52-20. They fell behind early against BC, but then they turned on the burners and they trailed 7-6, and they scored 34 unanswered for a 40-7 beatdown at Boston College. Let's make it another beatdown. 38-17. I believe that's my final score. I just want to double check. Yes, 38-17, Notre Dame over Stanford, and finished the year at 10-2. Very encouraging. And Notre Dame lost the 2 games they were supposed to lose. They were supposed to lose to Georgia. They were supposed to lose to Michigan. I hate to say it, but it's true. So, but everything else went according to plan, and I couldn't be happier. I know there's no playoff this year. That's fine. Whatever. Besides, I would not have liked our chances even if we had made it. But But hey, New Year's 6 is still in play, so that's encouraging. So that's it. 38-17 MF. I think this will be a great and encouraging way for Notre Dame to end their year.
Anthony Floyer, can I ask you a personal question?
Yes, sir.
How would you like the smell of oranges?
My favorite fruit. Orange Bowl. Are you saying they have a chance at the Orange Bowl?
If they win this game, you know the committee loves Notre Dame. I'm going to be very honest with you. I've read a couple of dirt sheets and a lot of those predictors, and a lot of people believe that Notre Dame could be possibly heading to Miami for the Orange Bowl.
Oh, my God.
If that is true.
That's my favorite bowl game, you know.
I know. That's why I think it's going to happen. Notre Dame will win this game, and I think the committee will reward Notre Dame. They'll get one of the at-large spots to go into the New Year's 6. And I believe when it's all said and done, I believe Notre Dame will play in the Orange Bowl in Miami on New Year's week. I know it's not on New Year's. It won't be on New Year's Day, I don't believe, but I know it's on New Year's week. I know the college football playoff is the Saturday the 28th. I know. I think there's 2 games on the 30th, and then there are 2 games on New Year's Day. Rose Bowl is one of them. I don't know the other. I think the other one's the Sugar Bowl, I believe.
Yes, I believe that's right.
I don't know.
I'll look into it in a little bit.
We'll look into it to give you the thing, but I think it's going to happen on the 30th in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. I would not be shocked on Selection Sunday if we see Notre Dame's name linked up to the Orange Bowl. I think they're going to Miami. I think you're gonna be loving it in the Sunshine State. Welcome to my home, Florio. Just don't mess up the place. We got a game the next day.
Don't give me any ideas, MF. Don't give me any ideas. That's all I can say on that. But oh my gosh, I mean, oh man, that's one of the most encouraging things you said to me in a long time. Really, I mean. I love it when you encourage me. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that is the most wow. My favorite college football team playing in my favorite bowl game. The reason why? Have you seen the trophy? It is the most beautiful, gorgeous of all the bowl trophies. That's all I'm gonna say on that. A big old bowl of oranges. My favorite fruit, especially the seedless ones. Those are the ones. Oof. Yum. That's all there is to say on that. So, all right. 5 games left. Let's get into the primetime slate of games here. 7 o'clock over on ESPN. The number 2 LSU Tigers at home at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. And they are going to be hosting the Aggies of Texas A&M. This over on ESPN. Sean McDonough, Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe. They will have it. And an LSU opening up as a 16.5-point favorite. Now, MF, this, I'm going to tell you right now, we don't like to give spoilers, but this is one time we're going to do it.
Yep.
Spoiler alert. This game is not going to be a duplicate of the most insane game you will ever see in college football. If you didn't see it last year, Texas A&M outlasted LSU 74-72 in 7 overtimes.
Yep.
Spoiler alert, ain't gonna happen.
No, it's not gonna happen. But I'll say this: if that happened again, panic if you're LSU. That would absolutely be an absolute panic moment for them. They would literally that would be worst case scenario for them if they get another war like that again. If they have to survive, that would not look good for them on the resume. They're gonna win this game. It's gonna be an easy victory for me. I got nothing more to say. Anthony, LSU should win this one pretty handily.
Amen to that, MF. You're absolutely right. Remember that record-shattering 7 overtime odyssey between these two teams last year? Don't expect a similar result this season. LSU has one of the nation's most potent offenses in college football, putting up 561 yards and 48.5 points a game this season. There's reason to believe A&M can keep this closer than most think, considering the Aggies have played tough against 3 top 10 opponents, all losses, and Kellen Mond can exploit a weak LSU defense. But Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and the talented Tigers receivers should outpace anything the Aggies can muster offensively. LSU outlasts Texas A&M, gets their payback. No overtime needed here. 45-31, LSU over A&M. 4 games left, 7 o'clock over on FS1. The number 23 Iowa State Cyclones squaring off against the Kansas State Wildcats at Bill Snyder Family Football Stadium in Manhattan, Kansas. FS1 houses this contest, and on the call for that will be Brian Custer and Robert Smith. And Iowa State opening up as a 5.5-point favorite. So this is a tough one. I'm going to be honest with you. This one could go. This one really could go either way. I'm not kidding. I mean, there is potential for an upset here. And we all remember Kansas State knows a thing or two about that. They pulled one of the biggest upsets of the year, if not the biggest. But at the end, thinking about all this, I'm gonna take a chance and go with Iowa State in this one. I think they've been the better team as of late, and I'm just trying to. Oh, I don't have any notes on this one, so I'm just gonna toss the coin and say Iowa State pulls it out. MF, your thought?
I don't have anything either, so there's no real preview here on this game, so I'm gonna wing it as well. But I'm gonna call for the upset. I'm gonna say Kansas State do it again. They knocked off Oklahoma and K-State before. I think they'll do it again. So I think it'll be a close game, but I got Kansas State knocking off Iowa State. So Florio, 2 games to go.
I believe it's 3 actually. Yes, it's
3.
It
is 3. Yep.
7:30 on ABC, the ABC Saturday night game of the week. Not much of a matchup here. I wish we could have put Wisconsin and Minnesota in this spot, but nonetheless, these two get the spot. The number 6 Utah Utes, Rice-Eccles Stadium, Salt Lake City, hosting the Buffaloes of Colorado. And on that call, it will be Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Todd McShay, Molly McGrath. They will have the call for that one. And it is, Utah opening up as 28.5-point favorites. So MF, Oregon losing the shocking loss to Arizona State. And now Utah, they control their own destiny.
They do. No doubt about that. They're now in the number 6 spot. If they win out, they have a legit chance to get in. So they just got to keep playing what they're playing and do what they got to do. I got Utah winning. Florio, it's yours.
Yep. Absolutely. It is Utah. Utah needs only to win out to remain in contention, with Oklahoma and Alabama to remain in playoff contention. At first glance, it seems the Utes are fighting for bowl eligibility under their first-year coach, Mel Tucker, so they'll use every possible means to play spoiler in Salt Lake City. If Utah quarterback Tyler Huntley, 2,608 passing yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, minimizes mistakes against the defense with 11 interceptions, Utah should advance to the Pac-12 championship as the South Division representative. Remember, the Utes must win in order to make the championship in Santa Clara. So I'm going with Utah to win as well. I agree. 34-17 Utah over Colorado. Now we have 2 games left. 7:30 kickoff and I cannot believe a game of this magnitude has been relegated to the SEC network. When you think about the history of these two, the number 11 Florida Gators at home at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, hosting the Florida State Seminoles. 7:30 on the SEC network, and on the call for that one will be Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, and Cole Kubelik. And we have Florida opening up as a 16.5-point favorite. So Florida won 41-14 in the last meeting, which broke a string of 5 straight victories for the Seminoles. Florida State is 2-0 since Willie Taggart was fired, and their players will be auditioning for the next coach. The Gators get to 10 wins, but it will not be an overwhelming blowout. But I think they'll win comfortably enough. I got Florida over Florida State. I'm going to go 31-17, Florida over Florida State. MF, you think about the history of these two, and this game gets relegated to the SEC network?
Yeah. And it's because of the fact that Florida State is not really a good team this year. But they are 6-5. A win would make them bowl eligible. So, I mean, they're there. So, we'll wait and see what happens. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Florida as well. They'll get 10 wins, and there's really nothing more to add. So, Florio, 1 game left.
Oh.
What the heck? It's Bedlam!
The Bedlam Brawl, baby. Let's go. What a way to close out this football feast. Ho. It is going to be a feast. That's all there is to say. 8 o'clock on Fox, the Bedlam Brawl. The number 7 Oklahoma Sooners squaring off against the number 21 Oklahoma State Cowboys. Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Joe Davis, Brock Heward, Bruce Feldman. They have the honor of calling it. Oklahoma opening up as a 12.5-point favorite. MF, it's only fitting that you get to lead off on Bedlam.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing, whatever you want to say. Holy freaking crap is what I'm going to say about this. But, yeah. After everything that goes down, this is going to be very interesting to watch. No doubt about that. It's Bedlam, but Oklahoma wins. That's my prediction. That's who I think is going to win it. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, nice and quick there, MF. I was trying to get some things acclimated here. That's all right, but man, oh man, it's Bedlam, folks, and it's going to be. It's going to be a sight to see. I mean, it's always fun when these two square off, whether it's in Norman or whether it's in Stillwater. It is as fun can be. And what else is there to say? I mean, it's going to be a shootout. That's all I know. This is going to be a shootout here. I got a very slow build here. Okay, here we go. All right, I think we can get in here now. Oklahoma has had close calls in each of their last 3 games following the loss to Kansas State, and that doesn't exactly engender confidence heading into Bedlam. Sooners quarterback Jalen Hurts, 3,184 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, along with 1,156 rushing yards and 17 touchdowns, can gash a Cowboys defense that gives up 415 yards a game, but he can't keep committing untimely turnovers deep in enemy territory. The Cowboys' cause is hurt with the likely season-ending thumb surgery to Spencer Sanders, but Drew Brown proved a capable replacement by completing 22 of 29 passes for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. Assuming the Sooners minimize mistakes, they should win, but never discount anything in a game like this. Oklahoma pulls it out 42-35. Nothing more to say except that will put the bow on this 8th annual Strictly Sports Football Feast. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. And there's nothing more to say except MF. We have one last order of business. Set the table for tomorrow night. We've got AEW, Dynamite, TV NXT, and are we covering War Games as well?
And we will indeed be covering War Games. It's all going to happen at 10:30 Eastern tomorrow night. Anthony Florio, let's sign off for this evening.
All right. And that's it. Tomorrow night, Braves Fan 95 with good old MF Michael Fletcher. We will have Wednesday Night Mayhem. We will review NXT TakeOver War Games. We will review NXT. And we will also review AEW Dynamite. That all goes down at 10:30 tomorrow night over on Braves Fan 95, hosted by good old MF Michael Fletcher. And then that's it. Because from Thanksgiving on, we're taking that 4-day weekend home. We're taking that out. So we're going to relax for 4 days, recharge the batteries, and then we'll get back at it next Monday with Ridiculously Raw. And it's going to be a short and sweet Tony's Take this time around. I'm only going to be doing 205 Live. If you didn't see the Impact Wrestling tonight, oh my goodness gracious. What a train wreck. What a freaking train wreck that was. Are you kidding me?
It was everything you absolutely talked about. That was Southpaw Regional Wrestling at its finest. I got to give credit where credit's due to Impact Wrestling for giving a gallant effort on the studio style wrestling. They were trying to spoof what they were trying to do was they were trying to spoof NWA Power. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to spoof NWA Power. For all you people out there, I know you guys were poo-pooing over this show because NWA Power really wasn't they had no show today. It was a lot of talk. Yeah. There was one fight that was an empty arena match, but other than that was a throwaway show.
Yes, it was.
To say the very least. Yeah. So
I'm not even dignifying it.
Yeah. So
I'm just gonna focus on 205 come Monday night.
There you go.
So that's it. So that's when we'll so that'll do it for this. So until tomorrow night for Wednesday Night Mayhem, it's Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, Michael Bullock, Didi Woodson, and always in forever, Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up, Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Wednesday. And until tomorrow night for Wednesday Night Mayhem, over with MF on Braves Fan 95. You've been watching the 8th annual Strictly Sports Football Feast right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube.com and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. And bye, everybody. Bye.